Hello, I'm Chris Barrow with the BBC News. President Biden has signed into law the biggest ever investment to fight climate change in the US. The bill, known as the Inflation Reduction Act, includes more than $400 billion of new spending.
It's going to offer working families thousands of dollars in savings by providing them rebates to buy new and efficient appliances, weatherize their homes, get tax credit for purchasing heat pumps and rooftop solar, electric stoves, ovens, dryers. It gives consumers a tax credit to buy electric vehicles or fuel cell vehicles, new or used. And it gives them a tax credit of up to $7,500 if those vehicles were made in America.
The legislation also contains reforms to the price of prescription drugs and introduces a minimum 15% tax for corporations. Polls have closed in the US state of Wyoming, where the Republican Liz Cheney has been fighting to save her seat in Congress. Ms. Cheney, a fierce critic of Donald Trump, is expected to lose the primary election. Her rival, Harriet Hageman, was endorsed by Mr. Trump and supports his unfounded claims of voter fraud. From Washington, here's John Sudworth.
Within the next 5 hours or so, we should get confirmation as to whether those polls are going to be borne out and Liz Cheney is going to be buried under this landslide of vengeful Trumpian fury. If enough registered Democrats change affiliation, as they're entitled to do, just maybe there's a slim path for victory for her. But I think very few people think that's likely. And when she cast her vote today, she made it very clear that for her, whatever happens, this is not the end of the fight. She said that she also felt there is something far bigger than the party at stake here. Democracy, she said, is under threat. And she said this is really only the beginning for her.
The Cuban government has announced it will allow foreign investment in local wholesale and retail trade for the first time since Fidel Castro's communist revolution of 1959. Some foreign retailers will be able to collaborate with state enterprises. Will Grant has more details.
The decision to allow greater foreign investment into the wholesale and retail sector in Cuba has been made under great economic duress. The island's centrally managed economy is suffering one of its toughest periods in decades, following 2 years of much reduced tourism during the coronavirus pandemic. With a consequent fall in foreign exchange earnings, combined with the decades-long US trade embargo, Cuba's communist-run government has struggled to import the basics.
African leaders have congratulated William Ruto, who's been declared the winner of Kenya's presidential election, even though the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, has rejected the result. Mr. Odinga suggested he would go to court. A respected local election observer group says its findings are consistent with the official results. World news from the BBC. The High Court in London has heard how British ministers who supported sending asylum seekers to Rwanda were told that it tortures and kills political opponents. An independent advisor made the warning weeks before the UK tried and failed to fly migrants to the African country in June. The British government has insisted that Rwanda is safe and has an outstanding record on refugees. Britain has accused the European Union of breaching the post-Brexit deal by not granting the UK full access to scientific research programmes. 18 months ago, the EU agreed to let the UK keep participating in its research projects, but the bloc changed its mind last year after a dispute about Northern Ireland. The German film director Wolfgang Petersen has died. He was aged 81. Petersen's first major success was Das Boot, which was nominated for 6 Oscars despite not being in the English language. Petersen went on to direct a series of Hollywood blockbusters. Our arts correspondent Vincent Dowd looks back at the director's rise to fame.
Petersen had a successful career in the theatre in Hamburg as a young man, then German TV. He directed some of the Tatort crime series, which after 50 years is still the top German TV drama. He moved into bigger TV productions, and in the early 80s, he made the huge hit Das Boot. Even in English-speaking markets, it's always been known by its German title rather than as The Boat. There were TV versions and a big cinema version, and it tells utterly grippingly the story of a German U-boat in the Second World War. Petersen's career took off when he made Das Boot.
In tennis, the British teenager Emma Raducanu has beaten Serena Williams in the first round of the Western and Southern Open in the US. The American, who's aged 40, left the court in Cincinnati without speaking to reporters after her straight sets defeat. She indicated last week that she was planning to retire. And that's the latest BBC News.